Imagine you're a professional penetration tester, a bug bounty hunter pulling six figures, or someone operating in the shadows who can't afford to leave trace. Your machine is your weapon, your fortress, and your escape route all at once. The last thing you want is an operating system that's constantly watching you, phoning home, restricting your tools, or riddled with vulnerabilities that antivirus companies patch months after exploits are already in the wild. That's exactly why almost no serious hacker, ethical or otherwise, runs Windows as their primary rig. Let's break it down cold and hard. First, privacy, the total lack of it on Windows. Microsoft built telemetry straight into the core of the OS. From Windows 10 onward, it's aggressive. Every keystroke in some apps, every app launch, crash report, diagnostic data, even your location, if you let it. You can turn off some of it, sure, but Microsoft keeps adding new telemetry and updates. And third-party tools like Shutup 10 get partially reversed or broken with the next feature update. Hackers live or die by OPSEC. If your OS is quietly uploading hashes of your files, screenshots of errors, or usage patterns to Redmond servers, you're already compromised before you even start. Linux. Most distributions send zero telemetry by default. You control what goes out. Arch, Debian, Fedora, none of them have a corporation legally obligated to shareholders to harvest your data. Second, control. Windows is locked down in ways that make power users rage. User account control pops up constantly. But it's theater. Microsoft decides what runs with elevated privilege. Try installing a custom driver or unsigned binary without jumping through hoops. Antivirus like Defender flags, legitimate pen-testing tools as malware, Metasploit payloads, even Wireshark in some cases gets quarantined. You spend half your time disabling real-time protection, adding exclusions, or running everything in a sandbox that still phones home. On Linux, especially Kali or BlackArch, the tools are pre-installed and trusted by the system. No Defender screaming, "This is a virus." When you run root is yours. If you want it, no nanny state deciding what's dangerous. Third, the architecture itself favors attackers on Linux. Everything runs with least privilege by default. Files have permissions that actually matter. Your average user isn't administrator equivalent like on Windows. Most exploits rely on escalating from user to root, but SLinux, AppArmor, or even basic sudo rules make that brutally hard. Windows has improved with features like virtualization-based security and credential guard, but they're opt-in, resource-heavy, and still bypassed in real attacks because the user base is huge. Hackers target the low-hanging fruit. Linux servers dominate the CloudOS, Google Cloud, Azure run Linux underneath, so understanding Linux kernel exploits is mandatory. Why learn two kernels when you can master one that's everywhere? Important. Fourth, tooling ecosystem. Kali Linux ships with over 600 purpose-built security tools. NAP, Burp Suite Community, John the Ripper, Aircrack NG Suite, Volatility for Memory Forensics. The list goes on. You can install them on any distro, but Kali has them curated, updated via rolling and configured for immediate use. On Windows, many of these tools either don't exist natively, require WSL, which is Linux running under Windows Y, add the layer, or get flagged. PowerShell is powerful, yes, but nothing beats Bash ZSH or Fish with aliases and scripts that chain effortlessly. Hackers script everything: recon, exploitation, post-exploitation. Linux command line is a superpower. Windows CMD or even PowerShell feels clunky by comparison. Fifth, anonymity and footprint. Serious operators run everything in vMIS containers or live USBs, cubes, OS, Tails, Honixol, Linux-based, designed for compartmentalization. You spin up a disposable Kali VM over Tor, do your thing, nuke it. Windows v Ms leak, host info more, isolate telemetry, hardware IDs, activation checks. Linux lets you spoof MAC addresses, route through proxies, chain V, and use tools like Proxicanes natively without fighting the OS. Plus, no forced Windows updates. Nothing worse than a forced reboot when you're pivoting through a network. But let's address the elephant Isn't Windows targeted more because it's popular? Yes, malware writers target Windows because 70 to 80% of desktops run it. But that's exactly why hackers avoid it. If you're attacking, you want to blend in. But if you're defending or red teaming, you want an environment where malware is rare and tools work seamlessly. The average virus doesn't even bother with Linux because the payoff is tiny few home users. That obscurity is armor. When Linux does get hit, like recent supply chain attacks on Xed, Utils, or cloud ransomware, it's because attackers adapted, but the baseline threat is orders of magnitude lower. Real-world proof: look at where pros work. Penetration testers at big firms run macOS or Linux desktops. With Windows vMIS, only for specific client testing. Bug bounty leaders like NahamSec, STGK, or Insider PhD preach Linux setups. OSCP certification is done almost exclusively on Kali nation-state actors. They use custom Linux distros or hardened BSD variants. Even Black Hat forums joke about script kiddies on Windows, while real ops run Arch with custom kernels. Windows isn't trash, it's great for gaming, Office, Adobe, Suite, enterprise management, but for anyone whose livelihood or freedom depends on staying invisible, controlling every bit, and wielding offensive tools without friction, it's a liability. Hackers don't hate Windows because it's bad. They avoid it because it's built for consumers, not operators. It spies, restricts, updates on its schedule, and fights you every step. So next time you see a setup video with glowing RGB and a Windows taskbar, ask yourself, is this guy actually doing serious work or just flexing for views? The ones in the trenches. Black terminal, green text, Arch or Kali install, no bloat, full root. That's not fashion. That's survival. If you're serious about security, pen testing, or just understanding how the game really works, make the switch. Install a lightweight distro. Learn the terminal. Embrace the chaos of compiling your own kernel if needed. The learning curve hurts, but once you're there, Windows feels like a cage, and no real hacker stays in a cage. Thanks for watching. Drop a like if this hit home. Subscribe for more raw truths, and tell me in the comments, what's your daily driver OS and why? Stay sharp out there. Peace.